Alright, today's a review day in Ray's Arithmetic, and we're going to review lessons 5 through 9 in the primary book. And if you recall, lesson 5 was where we were reading numbers, where I would write a number down. Let's say I wrote down this, and you would know that that number is 3, which is this number right here. Okay? Or let's say I wrote this number here, and you had to tell me what that was, and you'd say, yep, that's a 10. And we kind of saw a pattern how we could practice reading a number that was like this first, and that's what? What number is that? 72? And we would then go and turn those same two numbers around, and now we got a totally different number altogether. It's 27, isn't it? So 72, 27, so we just started picking up numbers. Let's say if I wrote that, what number is that? Which is this one here. That's 41. Or how about if I wrote, this might be an easy one. If I wrote that, you'd say, yeah, that's 66. Or, what number is that? That's 82. All right. Or what number is that? That's 59, which happens to be that one right there. Or let's say, what number is that? 98? Yep, that's 98. And then the big one we went for, which is what? 100. That number right there. So we saw some interesting little patterns in the numbers as we read them through, and had some fun doing that. And then we went on to lesson 6, which is writing the numbers, where I would call out a number and you would write them on your paper and I'd write them on my board. So let's say we just did a few of these as examples. Like if I called out 63, I gave you a second to write it down on your paper, and I'd write up here on my board, I'd write 63, just like that. Or if I called out 11, gave you a second to write it down, and you put on your paper a 1 next to a 1, that makes 11. Or 10, which is a 1 and a 0. How about 74. 74 would look like that. Or 25. Or how about 18? 18 would look like that. I think we could squeeze another column of numbers here. Or 22. Well, that's an easy one. 22 or 15. If I told you to write 15, you'd put this down. And if I told you to write 50, you'd put this down. Okay, so I gave us some practice in writing our numbers out. And then we went on to some oral exercises, lessons 7, 8, and 9, where we got into some real live counting, where I took some real objects. In this case, I took cherries, and we counted them out. You remember the videos where we would count those and kind of group them together and figure out some different problems, adding and subtracting, and even some multiplying in there. So we went from 1 cherry, we added 1, and we found that when you have 1 cherry and you add 1 to it, you ended up with 2. Or if you added another 1 to those 2, you ended up with 3. And if you added 1 more, you had 4. Another one would make 5. Another one would make 6. Add another one, it makes 7. Add another one, it makes 8. Add another one, it makes 9. And add 1 more, and it makes 10 cherries, and we stopped right there. Okay. Well, remember, we also looked at a couple things with those different groups of cherries as we counted higher in numbers. You know, we found that we knew how many 1s are in each of these. Like this one had 2 1s. we asked how many ones are in 3, and we know that there are 3 ones in 3, right? You got one right there, one right there, one right there. Whoops. One right there. Okay. And how many ones are in 4? Well, we got 4 ones. You can see them all right there. How many ones are in 5? How many ones are in 6? How many ones are in 7? How many ones are in 8? How many ones are in 9? And how many ones are in 10? All right. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, we started learning how we could group these together and find out how many smaller numbers make up the bigger numbers. Let's say this group here, we've got 2 groups of 2, and we found that, well, altogether it's 4, right? That's 4 cherries altogether, but in between, or rather within that group of 4, we've got a group of 2 here and a group of 2 here. So how many 2's are in 4? We've got 2 2's in 4. All right. Same thing with 6. 6, you can divide it up into 2 groups of 3. We got one group here, one group here. So how many 3's are in 6? The answer is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. You see that? Okay. And also with 6, we can also divide it up so you can see how many 2's are in 6. You got 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. And so we found that we've got 3 2's that make up 6. So there are 3 2's in 6. 3 times 2, I should say 2 times 3 is 6. And the same thing with 8. We found that when you divide up 8, you find that you can group them up in groups of 2. So you got one here, one here, one here, one here. And that means that there are 4 2's in 8. So 2 times 4 is 8, right? And also with 8, we can group them up and find out how many 4's are in 2. So there's a group of 4 there, there's a group of 4 there. So that means 4. There are 2 4's in 8, which means 4 times 2 is 8. All right. Now with 9, that one we could group into groups of 3. So we had 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. So how many 3's are in 9? Well, get my other marker out. We got 1, 2, 3. 3 groups of 3 make up 9. Okay, when we get to 10, well, we can break those up into groups of 2 as well. How many 2's make up 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. Also with 10, we found that we could group them into 5's. So how many 5's are in 10? We got 1 there, we got 1 there. Okay, so 5 times 2 is 10. So we did some addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And I guess a little bit of division if you think about it. This is us dividing 10 into 10 divided by 2. We end up with 5. Well, we'll get more into division later, but that's kind of the basic idea. All right. Well, that's pretty much what we did in lessons 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So next lesson we'll get it into addition, get some practice there. So we will see you at that next lesson. And meanwhile, you can go to ray'sarithmetic.wordpress.com, or an easier way to get there is just type in ray'smath.com, and that'll also get you to the website where you can find more information on Ray's Arithmetic and some homeschool ideas and solutions. So we'll see you later.